Hi, N.A.R.C troopers, and welcome to episode 6 of the video blog for N.A.R.C, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Collaborators, N.A.R.C troopers YouTube site. So today I want to talk a little bit about the different types of narcissists and what that can look like, and what I identify as being one of the biggest problems. It seems like a lot of people take liberties these days in defining the different types of narcissists, and with these liberties come some misconceptions and perhaps a little bit of misinformation. A lot of times it's just a matter of vocabulary. We're all talking about the same thing, we just choose some different words to describe that. So essentially, in the beginning, there were 3 names for the different types of narcissists. The first was the grandiose narcissist, and this is the one that is the most obvious kind that everyone recognizes, that has inflated sense of importance and big ego, always wanting attention. A lot of times when growing up, these are the parents that would say, you're special, you're better than everybody else, and you come from a great lineage, and you have magic blood in you, and tiger blood or whatever. And they sort of build them up to have this grandiose version of themselves that is really not firmly rooted in reality. The second kind of narcissist, the one that I feel that I have seen the most and have certainly had personal experience with, would be the closet narcissist, which is also called the covert narcissist. There's other names that are used for this type of person who has NPD. Sometimes they, in addition to closet and covert, they're called the shy narcissist, the vulnerable narcissist. And this all describes the person who is not overtly recognizable as a person who has NPD to the outside world. They are intelligent, even gifted, charming. They have a very great social quality about them that makes people like them quickly and trust them easily. And it's all a persona that they have adapted to their personality deficiencies that enable them to project this. They're also very good at mirroring people, so that they're very intuitive and in touch with what people what makes them tick, and then they use that to manipulate to get what they want. So the covert does not have usually temper fits and angry outbursts and things such as this. A lot of times, even at home behind closed doors, the abuse is more subtle. It is more insidious, difficult to recognize, and certainly difficult to diagnose. With the closet covert narcissist, like all different types, they have a problem with something called object constancy. And this essentially means that they become upset, but not in the regular context. Like if they do become upset, then they hate that person 100% and feel such contempt and repulsion for that person. If the person is in good standing, they idealize them, almost to the point where they don't see their flaws at that time. They become infatuated with them, maybe even convincing themselves that this is the person that they have finally met who is going to make all their dreams come true and complete them and make them a better person and give them everything that they want and make them center of the universe and all of those kinds of things. So object constancy is kind of a black or white kind of thing, where they see people as either good or bad. You're either on their good list or their bad list. They can't look at a person with layers of complexity and say, I'm angry with this person right now, but I still love them. I'm upset with this person right now, but I still value them and I see their good traits as well. They can't differentiate that or delineate those differences. It's just very simple. If you have angered them in some way, then suddenly you become the bad guy to be completely demonized and vilified, and then that's it. They hate you and have much contempt and disgust for you. The third kind is the toxic, or otherwise known as malignant narcissist. And these are the ones that are most dangerous because I think that they have a sadistic streak and enjoy seeing people implode from the inside out. They enjoy destroying people emotionally, spiritually, and sometimes even physically. There are people who are quite successful who are toxic / malignant narcissists in politics, in powerful positions in society, because a lot of times, if you think about it, if you have no compassion or empathy for other people, you're manipulative, you're smart and charismatic, and you have that sadistic streak about you where you almost kind of enjoy seeing people fall apart because of something that you have done. Those are qualities that really will put you up at the top rather quickly. You can step on people all the way up and never even hesitate to think, oh, should I have done that? Was that an ethical thing? Was that, am I showing any kind of honor or morality? Those are questions they don't ask. It's just like, I have to get to the top, and if I have to step on your face or stab you in the back, I kind of enjoy it a little bit. And that means I win, you lose, and so that's all there is to it. So those are basically the three different types of narcissists. I think that sometimes it's not so simple as to just categorize them and put those labels on them, because a lot of times they could overlap, or they could have qualities from different categories that are kind of blended together. They're borderline, and they have comorbidities a lot of the time, which means they have perhaps addictions, sexual addictions, drug addictions, alcohol addictions often accompany narcissistic personality disorder. These comorbidities are quite common, so that complicates things. If they have a little bipolar and manic depressive or schizophrenic tendencies to add to the mix, it becomes much more complicated and not so easy to just categorize people and stick a label and say, oh, this is what it is. And I want to end with one thing to think about. Yes, after something awful has happened to you, like a narcissistic discard, something where you have been in a relationship and they have shown you their true colors and disposed of you, I think the first stage is to educate yourself. You need to learn as much as you can, as quickly as you can, about what has happened to you and what this person is, what they've done, how they operate, how they got that way. Just get a good understanding of all of it. I think it helps the healing when you can identify what has happened and see the reality of the situation. After you've done that, however, and I can't put a timestamp on that, but I can say that it's easy to get caught up on, for example, social media, things like Quora, Facebook videos, podcasts, things like that. It's easy to have analysis paralysis, I think is what it's called, where you get stuck in that phase where you just want to read about it and consume everything you can constantly about it. Once you know what you know, then that's all you need to know. At some point, it's time to sort of flip that and turn it around and make the focus about you. It took me a good 4 to 5 months to feel like I had a complete grasp on all the complexities and of this NPD, and that I had taken a deep dive to truly grasp all the nuanced parts of it that I needed to understand. But only recently, in the last month or so, have I come to realize that at some point the focus has to shift to be on you. And instead of reading about narcissism and things like that, what we need to be consuming at some point after we've educated ourselves is how to heal. What about the people who are in relationships with these individuals who have suffered because of that relationship? What do we need to do next for self-care? What do we need to do to deal with perhaps complex PTSD, which is one of the diagnoses that I have received after 16 years with a covert narcissist? Having that as the intention to be future focused and to put the energies that you have spent trying to figure out just what happened to you just now. At some point you have to turn that back around and start directing all of those energies into your own recovery and healing and your own evolution into a person who does not attach to people like this and who does not feel a need to have those kinds of relationships. I think that that's where the attention needs to go, and that's going to be a necessary step at some point. So whether it's 2 months or 6 months or a year, at some point we know what we need to know, so it's time to let it go and move on and start thinking, what are we going to do next for us? What are we going to do next to heal, to be the best versions of ourselves possible, to embrace our authentic self, our true self, and to learn to take care of ourselves and be independent, whole, and healthy? That's the thing that needs to get our attention and capture our interest. That's where we need to be spending our time and our energy. And so I invite you to think about that. Where are you on your education about this phenomenon that has happened to you? How long have you been looking at the information that's out there about it? And if you feel that you are at that point where there's nothing really that you can learn, it's just a repetition that's presented to you in a different way, in a different context, but it's still basically, the same bit of information. If you're at that place, then it's time to think about yourself. I'm going to ask you to do that. I'm going to invite you to think about yourself, make a list. What do I need to do? What are my goals? How can I make myself better? How can I navigate through and be healthy and whole? And then that is going to be a good day when you can let the other go and start thinking about yourself, because that's necessary. That's the necessary next step in the healing. So that's it for today, troopers. I hope that encourages you to perhaps not Google the narcissist today, but Google things that you can do to be stronger, to heal yourself, to be well, and to have a future that's going to be awesome, which I know we're all capable of having. I was thinking the other day, I was listening to a person who was in her early 30s talking about her relationship with her narcopath, is what she calls him, and she was saying how hard it was and how it's been 2 years and she's still not able to really move forward as well as she would like to. And I thought, you're 30. And I didn't want to minimize or diminish all of the hard work she's done and the horrible pain and suffering that she's been through. But at the same time, I was thinking, my gosh, at my age, it's a little different story. It's a lot easier to feel hopelessness and despair when that clock is ticking and you see that you don't have a whole lot of time left to get it right. There's a little bit more pressure, but whether you have 5 years left or 50 years left, it really shouldn't matter. What matters is that we all have to embrace and accept what has happened to us, and we all have to take responsibility for crafting a life that has dignity and has wellness and all those qualities that are so important. We can have that. I believe that we can have it. We don't have to be stuck for the rest of our lives in pain and misery because of what has happened here. We educate ourselves, and then we arm ourselves with the tools to build a new life that's a better life. So I hope that sort of frames things for you today a little bit and gives you a moment to hit pause and think about where your energies are going. And Yeah, different kinds of narcissists. We know what they are, and we know one thing: we would want to avoid getting tangled up with that again, right? We want to have people in our lives who know how to love and who can support us and be there for us in ways that the narcissist never can. All right, guys, see you again soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.